for a quick Devar Torah, one of the interesting customs we have at the Seder is we open the door for Elijah the prophet. This, we pour the extra cup. That goes back to the Gemara, where there's a dispute whether we have 4 cups or 5 cups. But opening the door actually goes back to the Middle Ages. It's relatively new. And if you look at the words we say when we open the door, pour out your wrath upon the nations. Now, this is a great way to greet Elijah the prophet. Come in here and pour out your wrath on the nations. What is really going on here? Now, if you look at the Seder, there's the hint there is before that we have that in every generation they will come to kill us. And you, God, will save us. Okay, now this is the key to why we do this. What you're doing when you're opening the door is you're looking for a dead Christian child because of the blood libels. We forget this. We forget that this was something that was very common in Europe. Some Christian kid would be killed somehow. They'd pour his blood. They would place his body or his blood on the doorpost of a Jew, and then there was a way of attacking the Jews. And you say, yeah, but when you explain to people, this is absurd. Nobody could believe this. Because like we know, Jews are not allowed, we're not allowed to have animal blood, much less human blood. It doesn't matter to the anti-Semite. Something we always have to learn. They don't care. They hate us because of us. Now, there's a number of theories presented. Thomas Sowell, the economist, said, well, the problem with the Jews is they're always successful. My advice to the Jews, you want to be liked? Fail. He was saying that tongue-in-cheek, by the way. But the real reason is that if you have to know what is the real reason. It goes back to Amalek. Amalek was against the Jewish people, not because of anything we did. At the time that Amalek came upon us, we had just left Egypt. We were on our way to Har Sinai, to Mount Sinai. We just had the crossing of the Red Sea. Amalek said, it's either me or them. This world can't contain both. He was very upset at the fact that we were getting the Torah, that we're getting a system of morality. And you have to understand that this is something very big. The Torah represents morality. And in the ancient world, morality was not a big thing. If you read, the reason for the flood was the immorality of people. The reason for the spreading out at the Tower of Babel was because that was a totalitarian state. Two things that Amalek was for was immorality and totalitarianism. And the Torah stands up to both. And this is why one of the reasons that Jews are hated is that we represent the concept that you have to be moral, that you will be judged in the next world. And then people try to take this and they've come up with all these absurd claims about Jews. If you look at the German literature in the 1930s, it's a joke. And if you look at, and today, by the way, is Yom HaShoah. They have remembrance for the Holocaust. But if you look also at Hamas and you read their charter, it doesn't take much. All you have to do is read what they actually say. And by the way, the Nazis in the 1920s said exactly what they planned to do. Just like Hamas says it openly, or Iran says it openly. The fact is, these people are open. The real anti-Semites are open. They say, we hate you, and they make no bones about it. The problem is you have a lot of people who They're very liberal, they're very nice, they're very sweet. And they say, well, maybe we try to understand them. Maybe we can get along. In Israel, you had the two-state solution, which is now basically dead thanks to Hamas. Hamas showed that they're not interested in the two-state solution, so why should we be? But Hamas did not attack the religious areas. They stayed away from. There are religious kibbutzim in the Gaza area. You know, they stayed away from them. Why? Because they never hired Arab workers. The places they attacked were the left-wing, very nice people who believed in all these ideas. We forget that our enemies want us dead. And the Pesach Seder comes to remind us of that. In every generation, they will come up. And you cannot reason with these people any more than you can reason with a rabid dog. And the Torah's solution is a rather drastic one, as we all know. The Torah's solution, and this is not me, this is in the Torah, we have to destroy Amalek in every generation. King Saul did not destroy Amalek, and Haman came from that. The Megillah makes it a special point. So we have to be aware that there are these people out there. It doesn't matter what you say or do. They're going to hate you because you're a Jew. That's all there is to it. And Yom HaShoah comes to remind us of that. The full name, by the way, is Yom HaShoah Gevurah, the day of remembrance and of heroism, because there was a lot of heroism during the period. A lot of Jews fought in the partisans, etc., Rabbi Schwartz's father. We have to remember that when we stand up to these people, they will usually back down because they do respect strength. Not Madeleine Albright, the Secretary of State under Reagan, or the ambassador to the UN under Reagan, was in Israel. Israel asked, how can we get the world to like us? And her reply was, commit suicide. And she said, I don't advise that. There's no future in suicide. Remember, the world is not going to like you, no matter what you do. What I recommend is you do the right thing and make them respect you. And that's what our job is. The world should respect us. I don't care if they like me. But that's my thoughts on Yom HaShoah. Something to think about.